Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Garrett with the Cleaning Challenge. Hey, we're going to talk about stress today. So, there's a few things that we want to do or think about when we talk about stress. Is one, appreciate the fact that stress really is a big problem. America, we are always we're number one, right? But in what? Well, we're number one in stress. We're number one in anxiety. We're number one in depression. And when you look at all the countries that are happy and healthy, we are the 44th happiest country. We are one that thrives on stress. And really, stress sells. And that's the main reason in the U.S. that we're in this situation where we are, where we're all unhappy and we're just stressed to our max. And that's because stress sells, right? It sells airtime. The news is always going to tell you, you're going to die from this, you're going to die from that. Here's the worst things that are happening around you. It's never positive, affirming kind of things. And then the other thing they do is they sell inadequacy. So even if you look at like magazines that are fashion magazines, they always show people that are probably the best of the best possible genetic packages, but they even airbrush them. So nobody can actually achieve that. So everybody has this constant anxiety that they can't look like they want to look. And so they're constantly failing. And so we want to talk a little bit about, say, food and how that's involved. But before we do that, there's a couple things to think about briefly here. Is one, stress is a choice. Happiness is a choice. It may not feel like it, but it is. Even if we have a situation where, we have stressful jobs, stressful marriage, stressful kids, stressful situation, we choose to be in that situation. And to know that's a choice is actually empowering and lowers stress. We're also we're this biopsychosocial spiritual being. And so we have all these kind of aspects that we have to attend to. And when you look at the healthiest, happiest populations on earth, they all address all these issues. And so in the U.S., we do a whole bunch of this, but very little of these things. And without that balance, we still end up stressed and screwed, right? And so it's kind of like putting a whole bunch of oil in your car, but no gas. It's not going to work. And then I read this study about how gas is super important. So now I'm putting oil and gas, but no antifreeze. You're still screwed. You have to have that balance. So knowing that stress is a choice allows you to then decide what you're going to deal with. And so there's a popular Polish adage that says, not my circus, not my monkeys. So there's a certain amount of stress that we take on. That's not our stress. We don't have to deal with that crap. And so we get all involved. We get emotional about it. And then, the likelihood that things are going to change because we get involved is not very likely. So it's more of, I'm sad to hear that happened to you. I'll keep you in my prayers, but I'm not going to waste all my, energy worrying about your situation necessarily, right? There's a time and place for that. Now, sometimes it is your circus, sometimes it is your monkeys, right? And so the other part of that is to know what you can change and what you can't change. And I'll tell you that most of the patients I see, they constantly spend all their time and energy and waste all their nutrition with making stress hormones instead of happy hormones, dealing with stuff that they're not going to change, right? And so it's okay that there's going to be things that you have very little influence over, even within your own family. And again, you'll have someone that says, can you believe that mom did this? Or can you believe that dad did this? Yeah, I can, because that's exactly what they've always been doing, right? So understanding that is normal and fine, that's acceptable. You're not going to change those things. Focus on the things you can change. And the one thing you can change most is you, which is really the most important thing to change. So don't worry about everybody else's drama. Fix your own drama. So the other thing is when we stress, there's a certain amount of nutrition that we get. Vitamins, minerals, trace elements, phytosterols, phytonutrients, polyphenols, on and on and on. And all those things are helping us dedicate nutrition to either feeling really good, so making progesterone so we feel great, making anti-aging hormones so we age slower, making testosterone so we have sex drive and a drive in life too, that get up and go. And we can make a certain amount of stress hormones with that. But we use all those ingredients typically just to make constant stress. And when we do that, we don't have the ingredients to make the feel-good hormones. And so that's one of the really important things that we want to do is, first, you want to stop needing so much cortisol. But on the other hand, we need to tailor what we eat, especially with the clean eating, to where we are eating for our good hormones. You know, if you eat sweet potatoes and carrots and pumpkin seeds and pumpkin, put a little bit of pumpkin in all your food, soups and sauces, those all help boost progesterone, which makes you feel happier and healthier. If you use real actual sea salt, you get tons of iodine, and that boosts your thyroid. If you eat selenium, it helps get the iodine onto the tyrosine so you can make really good thyroid hormone. And that's, 2 Brazil nuts a day gets you 200% of what you need. Otherwise, the way you get your selenium and the way that you get your iodine is by eating cold water, fatty, wild-caught fish. So your salmon, your tuna, your halibut, your mackerel, sardines, those are the least consumed foods in the American population. Americans literally consume more coffee than they do fish, and fish is the fastest way to feel awesome and reverse almost all disease. And when it comes to, fruits and vegetables, we drink more juice than we eat fruit. We drink more juice than we eat fruit, yeah. And then with vegetables, the majority of them are just fried vegetables and ketchup, which is actually a fruit, but we consider it a vegetable in the U.S. because we're not that nutritionally grounded, I guess. So think about this. If you eat fatty cold water fish, it actually has been shown in studies to reduce cognitive impairment. Whereas if you eat highly inflammatory fatty foods, it actually severely causes severe cognitive impairment in studies. And so literally, whether that fish eats corn, which is farm raised, or it's wild caught, can make the difference to whether you can cope and think. And what's really frustrating is your brain slows down, things get harder, and it's more frustrating. You may make more cortisol because of that stress, and then it becomes this vicious cycle. So things like salmon, flax, chia, green tea, red wine, all the healthiest populations in the world, they focus on those drinks because they slow you down. Now, it's not white wine, and it's not sweet wine like Moscato, but it's red wine that you can't gulp down. And that slows you down and makes you enjoy time more, become more social. Same thing with green tea. It should be hot. So you can't just gulp it down and check it off your healthy list. You have to sip it and slow down. Oatmeal, which is a wonderful thing for breakfast. You might eat certified gluten-free for some people, but otherwise still cut, not instant. Instant is anxiety, but still cut is going to give you enough energy and increase brain function that you'll actually decrease stress. Throw some nuts in there and some cinnamon, all the better. You're going to feel even better. And then something like lavender, putting a little lavender like under your nose, putting it on your feet, putting it on your pillow, diffusing it, it actually releases beta endorphins in the brain, which then calm you down. And then for some people that are trying to, they're getting kind of stressed or frustrated because they can't keep up, peppermint is wonderful for that. So peppermint will actually stimulate brain function so that you can cope. But again, you don't want to have to cope for very long. You want to slow things down. Do what is called margins. So you want 80% text in your life and 20% margins in your life. And so we want enough breathing room that we're not just pushed to the edges all the time. The other thing that you can try too that kind of helps people cope while they're making the dietary changes are things like adaptogens. And so usually, it's an adaptogen because it's a really crazy word. And what these do is they actually will lower cortisol when it's too high. But if it's too low because you're exhausted, it'll help raise it back up to balance you. So these are wonderful things. They don't screw you up, but they help you during the transition. And so again, crazy words like ashwagandha, rhodiola, schistosandra, holy basil, all which is also Tulsi tea. All those things actually improve your hormones while you're transitioning. Now, again, you can use them to cope, but you got to make those lifestyle changes. And if you're doing the cleaning challenge, you're probably already starting that direction. But some people, there's a little frustration in the beginning because switching to new things and trying new things and your friends aren't doing it, it's a little bit stressful. So it's okay. You'll get through it. I'm glad you're taking the challenge, and I hope this helps you. This is just a tiny little tidbit and a huge volume of information we could cover. But I look forward to hearing your success. So thank you, and stick with it. You'll be fine.